Dear Nick and Billy, thanks again for another awesome episode and excellent movie choice. The episode on moral development felt very timely after an incident with my 4-year-old last week. Not sure if this is the type of question you are looking for, but would love some feedback on how I might have handled the situation if I had my time again. In particular, I worried that my response was not appropriate for my kiddo's age and development stage. Here goes. We live in a busy intersection and my 4-year-old has noticed a man standing at the lights with a sign on several occasions. She became curious about what the sign said and why he was standing there. I answered honestly that he was letting people know that he was homeless and would appreciate any money people might be able to spare. This led to lots of questions about why someone might end up without fixed accommodation, why people weren't stopping to help him, and how he might get assistance. He was particularly curious about why people weren't stopping to help. We ended up talking about the difference between helping someone for today and helping in the bigger picture. We discussed the role of charities, health services, policymakers. I was mentally exhausted after all of this, but thought at the time that if she could ask the questions, I should answer them. Once we got home, she told her dad and grandparents about what we had seen and our discussion. Her retelling demonstrated she had good grasp of the concept we had talked about. Instead of she needed lots of reassurance that the man would be okay and asked everyone about ways we could help him. For the next couple of days, she intermittently checked in with us, including waking us at 3 a.m. on one occasion to ask if she was right in thinking she would always be okay herself because she can live with us for as long as she needs to. We reassured her that we'll never stop loving her and will always support her. To give her a sense of empowerment, we also looked at local charities with her and are volunteering at some community centres to help pack care packages for disadvantaged families. She seems reassured for now and hasn't mentioned it further, but I'm anxious that what we discussed was too much for her age, given how worried she became for her own security. I remember being told as a kid not to give money to people who are asking for assistance as they would likely waste it on drugs, and I didn't want her to grow up hearing similar things. I think that in my need for her not to hear the same negative attitudes that I did as a kid, I rushed to give her too much information. Volunteering is probably partly to ease my own guilt about not doing more to help, but figure it doesn't hurt. It's so hard to find the right balance between helping our kids feel safe while giving them the tools and morals they need to navigate an at times unjust world. Love everything you do. Best wishes.
Amazing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, incredible. Like, navigated it. Like, love that she had the reflection, like, wow, I didn't want to do what I did as a kid. Just trying to make it a bit better, a bit more understandable. Tough. Like, tough to navigate. Obviously tough for the individual at the other end of the intersection. I get all that, but it's like, tough to navigate. And if you're not ready for those combos, which I wouldn't be, it's truth.
Yeah, and the kid decides whether we've given them too much information, and you find the pathway to recovery. And I'm not saying this parent has, because I think it sounds like there's a really healthy discussion in a kid that's got a huge strength in empathy, but also just is quite intellectual about thinking about all this stuff. The beautiful thing about coming at 3 a.m. and saying, am I always going to have a house? Then you show them that they're safe and understand that they're having this inner turmoil about it. But beautiful example. And it's also really a great demonstration of what do we do about it? So what I mean by that is that demonstration of what we do about it is really important, that we help kids with this. And a few years ago, and this is going to sound like I'm saying I'm a hero, but hear the second bit of it. A few years ago, I had no one to hang out with at Christmas, and I always kept having runs of working at Christmas, and I just was feeling so sorry for myself. So I tried to find some places to volunteer on Christmas Day. And it's actually the beautiful thing about society, which gives me hope. It's actually really hard to get into any of them.
Yep.
So I got into one and I went 3 or 4 years in a row. And I just kept working on Christmas, and I just had no one else to hang out with. So I went to this place. The beautiful thing is there was 2 different types of groups of people there that were in this church giving out Christmas dinners or Christmas lunches. There were these tradie men that were all in their footy kit kind of stuff, dishing out food to homeless people, and then families with young kids. And it was this beautiful demonstration that this mum's thinking about as well, of how can I give them an action And the action is important. Now, I was doing that because I needed to for me. It was a really selfish thing. I needed to for me. It helped me feel like a good person. I wasn't stuck in the turmoil of looking around on Christmas Day and going, I'm on my own. You know, it gave me an opportunity to look and think about other people. And also, you know, I needed that to feel good about myself. And Elise, like, will hate me saying this, but the busiest person I know, she volunteers every couple of weeks in a community friend program. She's doing that intrinsically for her. She doesn't need any external validation. Now, that's what we want our kids to have. We want this kid to be doing it intrinsically. So you give them the pathway and the opportunity to be volunteering and doing all that stuff so that when they have that inner turmoil, not so much about, am I going to be safe, but what can we do for that other person? And not saying don't give them money because they'll just use it on drugs, but saying that's really hard. That person doesn't deserve to be there. We're in a privileged position, and this is what we do to help with it. Is a beautiful way to take a kid to a really, really, really the highest level. The fourth bit of feedback I gave, really worried about society has given up on like that really highest upper echelon of moral development. Martin Luther King that I was talking about last time. That's how you do it. Give kids the opportunity to have conversations about it, and then the action. The action is really important. In today's world, there's a lot of like talking and signaling that I care about this stuff, not a lot of action. So how do we, and that's because we're all overwhelmed and all that stuff, but how do we give kids a pathway to action? And that's why I love that question.
Yeah, ripper.
Nice.
I like the direction.
Yeah, give them a direction, give them guidance.
Yeah.
In doing something.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by Guiding Growing Minds, a social enterprise that aims to give all children the best opportunity to reach their potential and succeed in living rich and meaningful lives.